A brand new mega cruise ship worth $900 million is in a high-stakes, all-or-nothing gamble.
You really don't know whether things are going to be successful or not.
She was built faster than any other cruise ship in history.
It's amazing. It's absolutely breathtaking.
Now, she's sailing from England to New York for the first time.
We have a quite strong low pressure north of us, almost a gale force wind.
Straight into a North Atlantic storm.
I think we better start the fourth engine, Chief.
Is Norwegian Breakaway ready for a maiden voyage that could make her or break her? Norwegian Breakaway is the largest cruise ship ever to call New York City her home. 146,600 gross tons, 1,073 feet long, 128 feet wide, Breakaway will carry up to 4,000 passengers and 1,600 crew members. Before she begins her life in New York, she has to cross the Atlantic. She is sailing to Rotterdam, Netherlands, from a German shipyard where she was just handed over to the cruise line. She'll sail a short one-night test cruise from Rotterdam to Southampton, England, before her maiden voyage across the Atlantic. The ship's captain has been in command of this ship for only a few hours.
That's the boat for the linesman.
Captain Harvard Ramsoy spent a year and a half on dry land overseeing Breakaway's construction. He's now putting her through her paces.
The ship handles very, very good. She's very powerful and very smooth. So, yeah, I'm very happy.
Ramsoy brings his huge ship into Rotterdam.
Spring lines on break. Off.
Congratulations. Thank you, though.
This is huge.
Safely at the pier, she undergoes a flurry of final touches as she readies for what her owners expect will be a half-century of profitable service. There is a lot to do in a very short time.
Everybody needs to know exactly what they're doing and when.
Cruise director Julie Valeria knows the stakes are high.
When you start up a ship, it's completely different than going on to another ship that's already been established.
People started buying tickets for this voyage 18 months ago, before the ship was even constructed.
You're starting everything from scratch. So you're setting the program, you're developing the programs, and you're running everything for the first time. So you really don't know whether things are going to be successful or not.
Call me back, please. Thank you. Good luck.
Dennis Prugta is the hotel director. Almost 1,500 of the 1,600 crew report to him. It's a huge responsibility.
Do your best to train people. Best training is at the workplace. So whatever they need to take out from the storerooms, they take tomorrow night.
Got it.
Okay.
It's on his shoulders to get Breakaway's venues ready for Southampton.
Good to see you. How was everything? Yeah? How was last night? Good? Okay, we tested last night the fuel grills. Temperature was okay.
Yeah, perfect.
No major issues, so...
Breakaway has 29 restaurants, more than any other ship at sea. Plus, a Vegas-style casino, a Broadway-class theater, and 22 bars and lounges.
How are you doing? Cool runnings?
Dennis is responsible for all of them, and he's feeling the pressure.
This will be now stored inside. Yeah.
Okay.
You can start operation.
Very good.
Yes.
What about the noodle bar?
You cost for the bunkering.
But now Dennis has a problem. The Asian restaurant is not ready for business.
This is what I don't like to see. If I see this, that means we are not ready. What is the problem? So there's no water supply?
The last point was the oven. Was a missing water connection to the oven.
Okay, so just welding and we are done.
Yes.
So tomorrow?
So tomorrow, yeah, in the night they do it.
I want to have everything ready 100%. Doesn't make me happy at all. And you can see on my face as well. Angry face.
And the Asian restaurant isn't the only concern. 2 of the main swimming pools aren't working.
At this moment we have one pool that we cannot fill up and one pool that we cannot drain. And you see, it's not very pleasant swimming water at the moment. It's a little bit foggy. So that's what we're trying to flush out.
We're trying to drain it again.
Yeah, okay, to flush out the
flush
dirt.
out the dirt.
Do we have the same issue?
As the crew tries to solve the pool problem, there is another one in the whiskey bar.
They put it in the wrong way around.
Okay. They mix the panels.
It's not in. It's not in, yeah. It's a nightmare.
A ceiling panel is poorly installed, and the contractors are struggling to fix it.
This is revenue, which we're missing. It's not funny. No, of course not.
Also, the sliding bar door won't open.
The problem was the up and down.
And everyone wants to sit here, huh?
A closed bar, a closed restaurant, 2 unusable swimming pools. Not looking good for a brand new cruise ship. It's a race against time for tomorrow's opening. And one of the company's top brass is on board, putting even more pressure on the crew to get Breakaway ship shape for her first ever passenger voyage.
I still like to look at the float, see how things are set up. We're going to take all these
And a top manager from Norwegian Cruise Line is aboard to make it happen.
Basically, anything that a guest sees on the ship is my responsibility. I'm responsible for all the entertainment, food and beverage, hotel aspects of the rooms. As we do those things, obviously there's a million moving parts on this ship. So we still have too much of a gap here in this forward lift.
And it should be flush.
So our performers are going to trip. Small issues will come to light. And so we're really in problem-solving mode for those small issues. And then just a number of issues throughout the ship that we're fine-tuning as we get ready for New York.
Mike gets to work with 1,000 details to sort out.
Okay.
Meanwhile, a staggering 660 pounds of provisions come aboard at breakneck speed.
We are taking approximately around 80,000 pounds of meat. Everything includes pork, beef, poultry, about 12,000 pounds of seafood, 35,000 pounds of cheese, 1,500 liters of milk, 250 cases of fresh eggs, and 60 to 7,000 pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables.
And there is a final challenge: getting ready for Norwegian's first ever fireworks show at sea. Explosives and ships? Usually not a good mix. Captain Harvard Ramsoy keeps a close watch.
The procedure to bring firework to a ship is quite complex because we have to do it in a safe and controlled manner.
Today we are bringing on 9.98 kilograms of firing material for our show. It is explosive material, and the E-matches, we actually use electronic matches. Those are actually more controlled than even the explosives, because those E-matches could be used to fire any explosive material. So we don't want that material falling into the wrong hands.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Before Breakaway makes her Atlantic crossing, she's hosting a one-night preview voyage from Rotterdam to Southampton.
please proceed to the boarding area.
2,353 special passengers come aboard for the overnight test cruise. Breakaway has been in the news ever since the beginning of her construction. Thousands of people have waited 18 months to be the first to sail on her. Even if it is just for one night, these people think it's worth it. And that means traveling light.
For this cruise, since it's a one-night cruise to Southampton, we have asked them to have just carry-on luggage.
As the guests come aboard, Hotel Director Dennis Prugda does a last-minute inspection.
Can you ask guys to pump up music a little bit, please? Is there any particular reason they're not set with the glassware and china and stuff like that? Are you ready?
Yes, boss.
You are? Fantastic.
Yeah,
ready to take money?
Take all the money from break.
There you go. The noodle bar. It won't be open today. No, both for lunch and dinner.
Dennis is frustrated, but there's nothing he can do to speed the process.
How are you?
Good morning.
Head housekeeper Errol Nelson does final rounds as Breakaway's first passengers come aboard.
I will make sure that the steward pull up this line a little bit up. Everything need to be in line. Details, details. Make sure you put it on top of the cable, okay? All right, thank you.
At the last minute, the crew discovers the problem with the pools is a pair of mislabeled water lines. The lines are reconnected, and the pools are ready just in time.
Let's try it now, eh?
And so is the troublesome bar door.
The technician came over, and we're now finalizing the last electrical connection to the motor. And I'm confident that after that, when we test it, it will work fine.
All are aboard. And the first official voyage of Norwegian Breakaway is about to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking from the bridge, and on behalf of Norwegian Cruise Line, all the officers and the crew, I would like to welcome you all aboard the beautiful and brand new Norwegian Breakaway.
On the bridge, Captain Ramsoy wants to make sure his new ship isn't pushed too hard. This is the first time the ship's engines have been put to the test with passengers aboard.
We haven't really played a lot with the ship yet, so before we know the ship in and out, we need to make sure that we take it easy, slow, and feel how she reacts.
Guests now get a first look at a ship that a mere 18 months ago was a pile of raw steel in a shipyard.
All out the deck forward. Bow thrusters.
At 6 p.m., Norwegian Breakaway, the newest mega cruiser afloat, leaves Rotterdam for her first passenger cruise. An overnight dress rehearsal that allows her crew to get a feel for the huge ship. With the clock ticking down to her transatlantic voyage, all eyes are on this untested ship. With more than 2,300 passengers aboard, they have the privilege to be the first to try out the ship's restaurants, bars, casinos, and nightclubs. Morning brings Breakaway's first passenger port visit, Southampton on England's southern coast. And if there's no quick turnaround here, there will be no triumphant arrival in New York. This is where the Titanic departed from a century earlier, but times have changed. As enormous as she was, Breakaway is 3 times bigger.
Entering the port here, so I'm just planning the turning, swinging to starboard, and then we're going back into the dock right here.
Captain Ramsoy faces a huge challenge, turning the ship around to get it to the pier with a margin of just 80 yards.
The turning circle, or the turning basin, which we have planned to turn, it's about 400 meters, and the ship is 327 meters long. We have enough space, but it's not too much room, so on the stern we have to watch the shallow water.
He must watch the depth as he maneuvers to a pier that's only slightly longer than his huge ship.
Yeah, this is a part we need to pay attention to.
Don't worry too much about the bow captain, it's the stern you need to keep an eye on.
Harbor pilot Bill Hargreave helps the captain into this small, historic port.
It's deceptive, you know, as there is shallow water there for the last sort of 20 meters. You don't want to be there.
No.
So it is quite deceptive when you see it like this. Yeah.
Captain Ramsoy neatly brings his ship alongside the pier.
You're happy, are you? Go to your position, thanks.
More than 2,300 people now disembark after their overnight voyage. The crew has just 5 hours to get Breakaway completely reset for almost 2,800 new passengers to come aboard for the transatlantic crossing to New York. 2,008 cabins need to be cleaned and readied.
Bedding's done already? Wow, you're fast. Okay, thank you.
You make up your bed already?
As the crew prepares Breakaway's rooms and public spaces,
Our major challenge was the oven yesterday. We didn't have any power.
VP Mike Flesch personally oversees the final completion of the Asian restaurant. It's fixed just in time as passengers come aboard the newest, largest cruise ship ever to home port in New York.
Hello, how are you? Look forward to your cruise.
Very much so.
And for those getting their first look, Breakaway is a dazzler.
It's amazing. It's absolutely breathtaking. I still can't believe the size of it. So just can't wait to get on it now. It's been booked for ages, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So we've just been counting down the days.
Hello, welcome to the Norwegian Breakaway. Thank you.
4,200 bags now make their way from dockside to the cabins. A complex system links every bag to its owner's room number. Bags reach the rooms well before their owners do. Last-minute touches are made as the guests stream aboard. On the bridge, final checklists are completed and the weather ahead appears clear.
The weather forecast looks fairly good. We should have very calm seas overnight, and it looks even better ahead of us. So people really expect the ship to be in on time this time. All the things have been planned.
Breakaway will sail much of the same route as the Titanic did in 1912, from Southampton to New York.
Hi. How are you doing?
What's about you?
Very good, very good.
Captain Ramsoy oversaw her construction. A year and a half spent on dry land in anticipation of this moment.
Any questions from the team?
No.
You on the watch? Yeah. Okay, so this is officer of the watch, second mate.
And right now, he's all business.
Forward and aft. Let go all lines.
6 knots coming up.
Get up to speed as quick as we can.
Yeah.
With the harbor pilot, he guides the ship out of Southampton.
153.
Call 553.
Steer 148.
Course 148.
142.
142.
Time has come to set a course for New York and begin a new era in ocean travel.
It doesn't get much better than this.
Passenger Andrew Bradley booked his ticket a year and a half ago, and it is worth the wait.
The maiden voyage of a brand new ship, absolutely brilliant. And the weather, unbelievable. The booze, fantastic. You know, what more could you want? This is life to the limit. This is the max. Fantastic.
Guests settle in for their 7-day voyage. The next day brings calm waters, and for one team, a lot of work. One of the biggest live shows to ever hit the high seas is being set up in the ship's main theater. Stage manager Richard Ambrose runs the operation.
We're loading in the set of Rock of Ages, a tribute to the 80s hair bands. It has all the popular music And it's just a really fun, rollicking, just great show with all the great music of the 80s. The only difference between this one and the one that's playing in the Helen Hayes Theater in New York is the Breakaway Theater is a little bigger.
This is one of the largest theaters afloat, seating 800. And the Broadway show Rock of Ages is the most ambitious production ever undertaken on a cruise ship. 10 singers, 25 open mics, and a 5-piece band. Sound technician Butch Janer has his work cut out for him.
We're about to start, and this is our first performance, and it's my first performance, full show. Nervous, but I'll get it.
For the first ever test of this brand new theater, the weather has suddenly decided not to cooperate. Captain Ramsoy is dealing with a forecast that's changing rapidly for the worse.
Okay, this is the ship's position at noon today, and right here you see something is building up.
The North Atlantic in spring is as unpredictable as it was in 1912 when the Titanic plied these very same waters. She sailed in unusually calm seas. Breakaway faces a sudden, massive storm.
The yellow stuff here is indicating the sea condition, and we have a little scale here. You can see that blue is good, and as it comes to yellow, the sea builds up, and towards the red here in the center, that means even higher seas.
The captain deploys stabilizers to make the ship roll less, so the performers one deck below can get their show on stage. Laura Machinsky is one of the show's performers.
I have not performed on a ship before. It's been a completely brand new experience, being on a ship versus being in a normal theater. It's different because you have to be really aware of your body, because you're jumping around, the stage is going like this, to make sure you don't get injured. We're really nervous for the first show, for an actual audience.
Unleash the beast!
But with a storm on the horizon, this show may not be the only thing rocking. What began as a clear forecast is now a prediction for a North Atlantic tempest. Captain Harvard Ramsoy is keeping an eye on the schedule. He's worried about falling behind.
So it's quite windy across the decks because the ship is doing 21.5, 22 knots, and we have almost the same wind speed against those.
The prospect of rougher seas tomorrow may mean slowing down, so he's pushing Breakaway 2 knots above her normal cruising speed.
I just want to be on the faster side now because I know tomorrow the sea will build up a little bit more.
Meanwhile, in the main galley, Chef Anikumar Chinopatra is getting ready to serve 2,500 gourmet meals in just 3 hours.
My shopping list is pretty big. I use approximately 60,000 pounds of fresh vegetables, 30,000 pounds of poultry, 20,000 pounds of beef, about 15 to 20,000 pounds of fresh seafood, and the list goes on and on. Keeping the kitchen well stocked is the most crucial thing.
13,000 chicken breasts, 4,000 steaks, 3,000 lobster tails, all served up in 1 week from the 15 galleys located around the ship. Hotel director Dennis Prugda is making sure the new ship and new crew live up to critical health standards.
My fear is a human failure. And especially when you get new crew members, you need to train them. So let's make sure it's sanitized, clean, and ready to use, please. Thank you.
He's testing the temperatures in all the fridges.
So tuna salad is reading 38.3. Fantastic.
Dennis's team inspects 257 fridges. They are all good, but they will be checked again tomorrow. After an evening of fine dining, the entertainment begins. The audience gathers for the first performance ever on Breakaway's Broadway-style stage. The sound techs are worried about their hardest song, which tests the stage and their abilities to the limit.
Come On Feel the Noise is right in the middle of the show. We have 15 different people talking. It's very hectic to make sure you've got the right mic up at the right time, at the right volume, and then different instruments being pushed to the right level at the right time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rock of Ages.
Come on, feel the noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear for the awesome cast of Rock of Ages.
Production manager Christopher Holmes is elated.
The show went very well. It was successful. We had a few minor incidents, but outside of that, we were very happy with how everything went. And on to the second show.
Christopher may be pleased and relieved, but the next morning, Senior VP Mike Flesh is not so happy with what he heard.
So we're going into the theater to look at some sound issues that we had last night during the show.
Mike was in the audience, and he could hear sound bleeding in from the show in the adjacent theater.
So last night during the show, I was sitting here.
Yep.
And we heard quite a bit of background noise. We need to kind of take a look at that tower over here and see what we can do to eliminate that noise problem.
Yeah, it's bleeding through that. I think the door's the issue, so...
Well, let's take a look at
the door links the backstage areas of Breakaway's two adjacent theaters. It should be soundproof, but it isn't.
Since you've got the gaps here as well, you've got the bass coming straight up, and that's what you would have heard last night.
On a ship at sea with no construction materials, making on-the-spot alterations is a major challenge. But the show must go on.
Yep. So a heavy sound curtain here. We'll put some additional insulation around this wall.
And we'll even look at the mix downstairs as well a little bit and see if we can do some tweaking to that too. So
drop the bass.
Yep.
Okay.
With limited materials on board, the only solution is a sound blanket insulator.
So I think it's reduced the noise somewhat, but we're going to have to put up a heavier sheeting to really reduce the impact.
Sorry to reduce the
As Mike contends with the sound issue, the captain, cruise director Julie Valeriot, and other crew meet to go over the fine details of setting off fireworks at sea.
We'll radio the bridge to let them know it's secure position.
Julie will be running the party on the deck, and
lock
as
it down.
MC, she will be announcing the fireworks.
What time are we looking at here, Julie?
We're looking at around 11:45.
1 minute to firing, we will see if Julie's on her way, and then make sure she's ready to go, and then we will actually go for it.
I've got about a 15-second window to introduce the fireworks, and then my line will cue the first shot.
Perfect.
The fireworks have the captain worried. Despite his best attempts to outrun bad weather, the conditions are deteriorating. And unless they change course, Breakaway is about to sail straight into a devastating storm. She is leaning at times up to 4 degrees. That's a degree more than her worst in sea trials. At that angle, passengers on the upper decks are in a topsy-turvy world.
I'm sure people will notice it, of course, but then again, we are in the middle of the North Atlantic and we have a quite strong low pressure north of us, so almost a gale force wind. So in spite of that, she is behaving extremely well, I would say.
And it's about to get worse. A low pressure system ahead means wind and ice.
This was not there when we started the crossing.
The forecast now calls for winds up to 55 knots or 60 miles per hour.
And you don't really want to be in the center of that.
Dealing with the weather forces the captain into some difficult choices. A change of course would make for smoother seas and a more comfortable ride for his passengers. But if he does that, he risks a late arrival in New York. The only way to avoid that is to speed up, burning a lot more fuel and costing the company money. Everything hangs in the balance as the storm thunders towards them. Captain Ramsoy plots a new course. He turns the ship south, away from the eye of the storm. But that means losing time he can't afford if he's to bring Breakaway into New York City on schedule.
Should be in the southern tail of that low pressure, which is should be a lot smoother ride. Should be less of a sea condition, of course.
Even so, it's going to be a rough ride.
We're still going to feel it a little bit.
The only way to make up time is to go faster. But Breakaway is already near top speed at 21 knots. That will mean pushing this ship's engines to their maximum. Breakaway has 4 diesel engines capable of generating 84,000 horsepower. Right now, she is running on 3 of them, and behind schedule because of the weather diversion. Captain Harvard Ramsoy needs to make up lost time.
How is things going?
Everything so far so good.
In the engine room, Chief Engineer Anders Nadal is pushing brand new, barely tested engines to their near limits.
All the equipment is new to us. We are watching it closely, especially like the engines and the acid pod, the main propulsion, because of cooling water temperatures, cooling air, and so on. And since this is brand new, this is something we have to keep a good eye on.
Just then, the order to push harder.
Hello.
I think we better start the 4th engine, Chief.
It's unusual for any cruise ship to operate all 4 engines at once, especially a ship on her maiden voyage. The captain had vowed not to push his ship too hard. Now, he's hitting the engines to the limit.
And when we have them all online, we're going to increase the speed to maximum speed.
We will start the 4th one, no problem. Alex, they need more power. That's why we are starting up the last engine, so we are able to increase to maximum RPM.
Guys, please stand by DG4 for starting.
We are still learning all the time, every day.
Okay, guys, so we get the 4th engine online, and then we keep full speed, so we gain some time and distance.
It's up and running, and it's online.
Captain Ramsoy's change of course may avoid the storm, but he has added 60 miles to the voyage. The engines will be running flat out to get the huge ship to New York on schedule. The diversion brings better weather. Now, passengers can finally take advantage of Breakaway's action-packed outdoor decks.
Finally, some nice, beautiful sun.
Cruise director Julie Valeria does her rounds.
People have been waiting for it for a while, so I think they're finally getting the sunshine that we've wanted.
Breakaway has the most and fastest water slides at sea, with 2 full-size swimming pools, 4 hot tubs, and a sports park rivaling any on land. This is what Breakaway was built for. The later hours bring out Breakaway's wild side. In the nightclubs and the casino.
We're from Newfoundland, Canada, and we just won 1,000 hours on a breakaway! Woohoo!
The non-stop party brings Breakaway a day closer to her destination and the final event. Tonight, she will play host to the first ever fireworks show on any Norwegian Cruise Line's vessel. But lighting explosives on the deck of the ship is serious business, with potentially fiery consequences. As evening approaches, tensions mount on the bridge. Though skies are clear, there's a strong breeze that could make the fireworks show dangerous.
Captain speaking. Yeah, we changed 10 degrees to starboard and coming down to 17 knots.
The captain is firm. He will not risk the safety of his passengers and crew. But he has a solution to beat the wind.
It's a little bit breezy from northeast, but we do headway and compensating the wind with the ship's speed. We'll actually blow the fireworks a little bit from the ship's side and make it as safe as possible. Make sure you guys stay in a safe area now, eh? Okay, good. Thank you.
The captain is not letting his guard down.
Tonight is just going to be organized chaos with a little bit of pyro.
I'm exactly where you
Julie is looking forward to the big blast. This is one night she wants to make people remember. So there's a big detail to take care of.
Right now we're about to do my hair, make it even bigger for 80s night, just to get in the festive mood here. I got giant hair to begin with, so it's gonna help you out.
Well, we're trying to make Julie look as fabulous as possible. We want her to be in character tonight. We want her to feel good. And she needs to look the part. She's kind of the center of attention.
All right, jewelry, and we're out the door.
Yep, let's go.
In the main theater, all the pieces are in place to get Rock of Ages back on stage. The question is the sound bleed from the next stage fixed? The show goes off perfectly. No sounds can be heard from the other stage.
We're rocking, rolling, ready to rock New York.
Now, on the bridge, the captain finally gives the go-ahead for the evening's fiery climax.
Everybody's ready.
It's showtime.
Okay. Yes, 8:08. Let's roll. 11:08. Julie intros the evening, and VJ takes over the party.
Welcome to our awesome babies party. Who's ready to have a good time here tonight? Make some noise. Norwegian Breakaway, license guy on
The fireworks light up the sky as Breakaway nears her final destination and new home of New York. As the last fireworks explode in a grand finale, the party celebrating Breakaway's homecoming echoes into the night. For Mike Flesh, seeing people enjoy this ship is a moment he's been anticipating for almost 2 years.
It's taken an untold amount of work, everyone's dedication to get to this point with this ship. And it's just great to see how well the guests are engaging with the ship.
Norwegian Breakaway approaches her home port of New York City for the first time ever. An early morning arrival in the city that never sleeps. The New York Harbor pilot invites the captain and her passengers in for a look at the city's welcoming icon.
Captain, do you want to be closer to the Statue of Liberty, or it doesn't matter?
We can do that.
Yeah.
She is the largest cruise ship to ever call New York home, and the pressure is on to bring her to the pier perfectly.
Open up for the docking panel, please. Docking panel, Docking pilot on board.
Nice to meet you. How are you today? Very good.
Did you take it easy? We're going to launch 2 live.
Captain Ramsoy gets extra help from the local docking pilot.
Okay, it is a tight fit. This berth was designed many, many years ago when the ships weren't even thought of being this big, and now we're using them to accommodate these. I always say it's like putting an elephant in a shoebox. It's a breakaway. Can you give us maybe a 100-foot countdown from that?
Will you get closer, pilot?
No, we're good right here.
Captain Ramsoy expertly docks the huge ship.
Breakaway, we're good on position on 88.
Very nice, Captain.
It's going to make the headlines for the docking at least.
By daybreak, gangways are connected with Breakaway resting in her berth. The stern sticks out several yards into the Hudson, while the bow is just a few feet from the road.
Kissing is a good term. We have a few more feet to spare.
Now, port supervisor Ken Winkler has to wrap his head around what to do with her.
Breakaway is the largest ship to home port in New York, so we're using a forward section of the pier as well as the aft section of the pier for check-in. And that's something we would normally do if we had 2 ships here. So we're treating the Breakaway as if it's 2 ships.
Passengers disembark after what Norwegian Cruise Line hopes is Breakaway's first of thousands of voyages.
It's a great feeling, of course, to have docked the ship here in New York. It's very symbolic. It's always a great port to come into.
But for the captain, this first voyage on Breakaway will also be his last.
Yeah, mixed feelings, I would say. Of course, a little bit emotional too.
His mission complete, Captain Ramsoy is on his way to a new assignment, promoted to vice president at a sister cruise line.
It is a bittersweet feeling because you know you're leaving something good behind. But also knowing that you're not coming back to this ship, you know, it's a little bit sad too.
The ship is re-provisioned as 3,800 new passengers come aboard.
I think it's time to go.
A new captain, Evans Hoyt, takes command.
Pre-departure checklist complete,
Let go, lines aft.
Their next destination is Bermuda, just one of many exotic ports ahead. As Breakaway says goodbye to her new city of New York for the first of thousands of times.